guru, and he will remember every single word to the movie. So, but music, I'm your guy.
Music,
Not
I could
today's
probably
music,
do better.
huh?
I said music, I could probably do better too.
Not today's music though. I mean, I know some of it, but I don't know it like I know the stuff that I grew up on and what my mom listened to.
What's your favorite song, Taylor?
I don't know a favorite song.
One that's in your top 10.
Oh, Mama's Just a Little Girl by Tupac. I'm gonna use his poem. What is that called?
So, Rose from the Concrete.
Yeah, Rose from the Concrete. I'm gonna use uh, a little piece of that in my TED talk when I have one at the end.
I thought you were gonna say my mixtape. I was like, well,
No, that's copyright infringement. Can't do that.
uh,
I can say it. I can say it, but like I can't like put him in it.
yeah. I mean, you can say it. You just wouldn't like, as long as you don't do it for profit. If you get profit, then that's when you're gonna get sued.
Or get your video on Facebook taken off. What's your favorite song,
Wish.
Dr. DeVries or Mr. Ramirez?
Mm, of all time, or like just in general, like right now.
Right now.
Oh,
Look,
yeah.
that's a hard question. She talked.
Of all time, it's easy. Let's Go Crazy by Prince.
Okay. Prince. Okay, Prince in the house. Uh, Let me check. One of my, well, I don't think it's my all-time favorite, but I could listen to the song like legit all the time. It's called Orbit by I don't even know how to pronounce the artist name, honestly. It's like, I don't know. It's spelled Nao. So I just call them Nao. But if you have a chance, like listen to that song. I promise you, like put headphones on because it's even better. But like she's such a great vocalist. Like the just the different range that she brings in just one song is insane.
Orbit, that's what it's called.
Yeah, and it's by I don't know. Oh, these artists, like for example, like Black. You know how he spells his name with like a six and then Lack, and his name's Black. But I'm always like Six Lack, but it's
Yeah,
Black.
I thought that's what it was too. He
Right.
said
I'm like,
6 lakh. What is this dude?
right. And then it's like, no, my artist name's Black, and I'm like, okay, but there's a six and not a B.
But the six could be a B. Like,
Yeah, so I'm just like, but yeah, it's by Nao, and
I'm going to look that up after our podcast.
yeah, I promise you. Like, I put that on my social media one time, and people were like messaging me, and they were like, "This is such a good song." Like, thank you, and I'm like, yeah,
the song of 2020 is "I Believe" by Pitbull. I believe that we will win. I believe that
that
we.
is not Pitbull song.
It. He made a song like it's like about fear. The only,
Oh, that chant is actually soccer.
it is, but he made a song out of it. Have you heard it?
No,
You look up your that song, and I'll look up Orbit.
okay, let me see. By Pitbull.
Yeah, it's 2020. The only thing that
Man,
spreads faster
oh,
than
I
a
believe that we
virus
will win.
is fear.
Uh,
You can either
I see.
forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. And I believe that we will face everything and rise.
Is that what Pitbull said?
In the song, I keep telling you.
And
Dang.
you learned it from Taylor because that was Taylor's thing way before Pitbull.
Exactly. And that was like
Get your
Dale
copyright.
Carnegie's Dale Carnegie or one of them. They were saying that. Anyways, we got to get to this podcast. We,
We got a cast pod.
Huh?
You got a castapod.
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of Casual Conversations with Dr. DeVries, Ms. Ramirez, and the Success Engineer. We're here talking about what college to choose or how to choose a college. That's what it is. We just had our scholarship initiative where our students got $88 million plus of scholarships from our high school, and shoot, a lot of them got multiple scholarships from different our colleges. So how do you choose which one? Miss Ramirez, how did you choose your college? Like, did it just fall in your lap, or was it something well thought out, or what was that process? I know you mentioned it on a couple of episodes of how
Yeah.
you got in it, but like, go in depth in kind of like your thought process.
Right. So I mean, I know that I think I in a previous podcast I mentioned how I applied to probably I think 8 universities. Um and honestly from as long as I could remember, I was really stuck on Mizzou, and I swore I was gonna go to Mizzou. Um and so like I kind of just applied to universities that were in the network for Kaufman scholars, just because I always kept in mind that I had that scholarship and I wanted to make sure that I followed through and that I didn't have to pay for college. So I kind of chose universities around that network, um, and I guess I started like chopping some options off once I started going and visiting. So like it was hard, but like when I went to go visit Mizzou, I just did not feel that like that was the right environment for me. It's like the corniest thing, but I just felt it in my heart that like I was not gonna fit in. And um once like I got MU out, then I just started thinking about like the possibility of just staying home, just because I was like it would make sense since I wouldn't have to worry about like housing, and even though I wouldn't have to pay for it for Kaufman, but still like I just thought like I wouldn't have to, you know, live with strangers and things like that. I just stay at home. And then I also visited St. Benedictine and I kind of liked it. And I was like, okay, this is a really nice like school and the people were really friendly. So then that got added to like my top three. And then finally K State. I also came to visit K State and I really loved it. And they like all three of those schools had like the major I was going for. So it made it even easier for me to be like, okay, these are my top three options. And then it just came down to like when I started thinking about what I wanted as a college experience. And so then I was just like, you know what? Like, I don't want to stay home actually, because I want to meet new people and I want to like get out of my comfort zone and I want to not stay home and just start becoming more independent. So then I took UMKC off my list. And then I decided K State because that's the school that felt the most right for me. And it just also, I don't know, I just thought that like an hour and 40 minutes was a good amount of like distance. I was like, hey, like I can be far enough that like my mom won't drive here every day, but close enough that if I'm missing home, I can always go back, or like for the weekends I can go back. So that's kind of how I decided to pick my school. Mainly was just that.
Yeah, the you touched on like one of the biggest things is knowing whether you want to leave or whether you want to go, and then how far you want to go if you want to
Yeah.
leave. So, like you can still go an hour and still feel like you're away from home. You can
Right.
go like 2 hours, 3 hours. You can go halfway across the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just how far you want to be away. Do you want to? You got to take into account like airplane costs, and now we in that pandemic. Like like some of those choices are going to you're gonna have to make some good choices, or not good choices, but like you're gonna have to make a decision on what you want.
Right.
Dr. DeVries, Martha.
So when I chose my college, I think I said this before, I didn't really have very many choices. I mean, it was really important for it to be affordable, and my parents weren't about to let me go live on campus. They thought I was too wild. Might have been right. But anyway, uh, that was kind of my big thing. I had to stay in my hometown because I was going to live at home, and it really wasn't on my radar to look beyond my hometown. And I grew up in Springfield, Missouri, so there were two universities, Missouri State and Drury College, or there were some smaller, like Christian schools in town that were private and kind of expensive. Drury was private and expensive too. So I just ended up going to Missouri State. It was Southwest Missouri State back then, because, well, this is embarrassing. I followed a boy. It's ridiculous. Um, so my boyfriend was going to Missouri State. So I chose to go there so that I could be with him. I guess it worked out okay because we've been married like 30 years now. So I guess it worked out. But that is not my advice to students. Do not follow a boyfriend or girlfriend to college. It's not good advice.
So like my experience, like I said before, my counselors didn't help me with the college process. So I went to Iowa State for a year. I decided Iowa State because that was the only college that I applied to, and I got accepted. And I just started filling out paperwork to get there, and I got there, and yeah, it was too big for me. So that's another key to what you want to take into consideration is how big the school is. Like I didn't understand like Iowa State was that big with 50,000 people. And you had like it was a walking campus, so and then you couldn't have a car. The car had to stay at the stadium until like game days or so, different things like that. I didn't like I wouldn't that was not on my radar to even look at things like that. So when I got there, I didn't get the grades that I wanted because it was so big and I was just a number. And then my coach, I was like, I want to transfer and I wanted to play basketball because I was playing basketball with some of the D1 players up there. And I was like, I want to play basketball. And one of my high school coach was like, they have tryouts at this college. You can go try out there while you're back for the winter or something like that. And I went there. They called me back over the summer and was like, "You want to come?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to come." It was only an hour and a half away. It was smaller, and because I was already done with Iowa State, I was like, "I'm transferring no matter what." Like, I'm coming back. It was 3 hours away, out in the middle of nowhere, and it was just like, so I just kind of fell. It kind of fell in my lap. The schools that I didn't have a like really a choice. Like, ooh, I got a full ride here or a half ride here or this and that. I don't know what that looks like. So anybody that has those type of options, like, don't come to me for advice. You can, because I will still look at the simple things like how far you want to be from home. Because then once you have options, you can really look at what you want and get what you want and be okay with that decision. Like I didn't have a want in selecting Iowa State. It was just I'm going here because I don't know where else to go. But that's how I lead life. I knew I wanted to go to college. I let life take me in that direction, and I figured it out on the way.
So I think, Mr. Taylor, you give us two really big lessons from your story. One lesson is do your research. Take time to do your research because there were things that you didn't know about Iowa State that looking back, you wish you would have known. So our students, as they're making their college decisions, it's really important for you to figure out what you're getting into, what each campus is going to be like. And Ms. Ramirez, you mentioned how you thought it was kind of corny, but you just didn't feel like you fit in at Mizzou. You just didn't have that inside feeling that it was a good fit for you. So doing your research and if you can get on campus before you go there, I think that's really important. So you can see, oh, I have to park my car way over there and I'm not going to get it for a week. So I think that's really important. And then the other big lesson I think that you give us, Mr. Taylor, is that if you make a decision that doesn't feel right, you can always go a different direction. Like you can always come back and make a different choice. You can always look for other options. So you're not stuck with your first choice if it's not a good decision for you. And I think both of those are really great lessons for students. I mean, ideally, you choose a school and you get there and you love it and you stay there and you graduate. But if you get there and you don't love it, or if it's too far from home, or if you feel like a number instead of a person, then it's okay to hit reverse a little bit and start over and go in a different direction. It's those are both really valuable lessons, I think, for our Sumner students.
I call it pivoting. Like you got to pivot you, in all aspects of life. You're gonna learn something either way. Moving forward, you're gonna learn something from that process. So my process of learning from, I knew that I needed to go to a smaller school so I could get the one-on-one attention that I needed to be successful in the classes. When I was going to chemistry, I ain't never take chemistry in high school. I had to take chemistry my first year, and it was like I couldn't get no help. Like the office hours, the TA, I was like, what is all of this stuff? I can't navigate this. And then did I want to navigate it? Probably not because I was young and dumb, whatever. I didn't want to take that time out to do it. But yeah, I learned everything that I do, like I go through it, and then if I have to pivot, I pivot, and I restructure my goals based on what I learned from whatever I just went through. And that helps with, hey, this the options that you have. So if you have three options, um, explore the options and see what fits best for you. I mean, that's what Miss Ramirez did.
Yeah, and then I mean, and just also like, I guess, you want to make sure that you're going because like you want to go there too. Because sometimes I feel like it's hard, but sometimes you're gonna like first it was kind of a not a tough conversation, but there was a conversation I had to had with my parents and be like, hey, like I know you guys want me to stay home, and like that seems like it's the best option for you guys because you guys are not used to me not like living on my own and stuff, but I have to go. like
What
you know
about like students that help bring income to their families, like, and they want to go out to school? Like, that's a tough decision for students, and like some students cater to that, and no matter what, like my cousin told me, she was like, we'll figure it out. Like like grown adults will figure it out. Like I know you want to, but want to stay, but sometimes you have to go out and you got to take that risk and go out on your own, and because you can come back and be able to
help even more.
help even more. That's what I was trying to get to.
Right. I mean, it is hard. It's difficult because like I don't know. I didn't necessarily contribute like that in the sense of income, because I didn't work during high school. I just like stayed focused and stuff with school and soccer. Like soccer took up like almost all my life, honestly. Um, but I did in the sense of like I was the oldest at home, so like I did all the interpreting when there was need for interpreting, or taking my siblings to places and things like that. So I mean, it was difficult, but at the same time, I just was like, hey, like I'm leaving, but my siblings are here. You know, like they're more than capable of kind of taking over my role, like passing down the torch type of thing. So, and I mean, I was it wasn't like I was so far away that like in case of an emergency, because like there were like that I couldn't leave. So mm, and it just working out. I think right now like students are trying to figure out if they want to go and onto a campus when it's looking like it might be virtual.
Hmm.
I think that's the most difficult thing right now is for students to think like economically, like do they want to invest in an education that might be via Zoom?
Right, right. Especially if it's full price. Like if there's no difference between price of virtual and being on campus, because there's a difference in the learning too. So like if I'm on campus, I have to physically get up, go to class, I make a routine. I got people that I see every day. I got friends, this and that. But Zoom, you just wherever you at
Right.
on a call, right? And yeah, I'm not paying for that. And that brings up another topic is that like there is other ways to or get to your goal. So like going the community college route, like you can go to the community college, get your associate's degree, and the college that I worked for, like I went to and worked for, they had a transfer scholarship that if you got a 3.5 GPA and the associates, you could get like full tuition, like for those 2 years that you go there, and I mean, that's just free. And all you had to do was pay for the associate's degree or, if you got a scholarship, whatever. But 3.5 associates and you got full tuition. It was called the President's Scholarship because, I was like, man, I wish I would have known that. I would have took my little A plus and that's another thing.
Yes.
I didn't do all of my requirements for A plus, so I didn't have that option. Um, all I needed was like the volunteer hours. So now in my life now, I volunteer all the time because like I feel like I need to make up for all that stuff I missed. That's not the real reason, but uh, that's a part of it. I was like, man, all I had to do was 50 hours. I would have got that option. I probably would have took that option because I didn't have no other options, and it probably would have been financially better for me. Dr. DeVries.
Well, I think we want to hit a little bit about the financial options that students have. So we just found out yesterday that Sumner students were offered over $88 million in scholarships through the Scholarship Initiative. And our seniors should have received their packets now. Most of them picked them up on that senior celebration day, but the rest of them were mailed. So you should have gotten those by now. And that can be a great place to look, like, especially if you have no idea where you want to apply. If you look in that packet, you can see, oh, this college is offering me so much money to attend there. And maybe you've never even thought about that college, like Benedictine. You mentioned, Mr. Ramirez, that you visited there. Well, that might not be a college that was even on our students' radar, but when they look in their scholarship initiative packet and see, oh, Benedictine is offering me some scholarship money. And we know that those scholarship initiative scholarships are the bare minimum. So a student, that's what you would get if you got nothing else. That doesn't include any financial aid you might get after you fill out your FAFSA. That doesn't include any scholarships that you might get based on things like leadership and community service. So there might be opportunities for more scholarships even beyond what's listed on that letter. So I think if students are kind of stuck or just looking for additional options, you know, a lot of our kids want to go to K-State or KU. I don't think anybody wants to go to Mizzou, even though I attended Mizzou for one of my degrees. But anyway, that's a great place to look for additional options, because K-State and KU can be very expensive. But some of the colleges that participated in Scholarship Initiative might be a little more affordable. So looking and seeing, you know, what scholarship is Benedictine offering me? What scholarship is St. Mary offering me? What scholarship is Wichita State offering me? Might help you see additional options that could end up being a great fit and more financially feasible than some of the other places. So if you're stuck, seniors, if you're feeling like, I don't even know where to turn to that manila envelope and start looking through to see, you know, where is offering me money, and would that be a good place for me?
And we got to look at it as like one of those spreadsheets that we deal with all the time. So we want to make our decisions simpler for ourselves. So the more options we have across the different boards, like we need to make that simpler. And if we look at it as like a spreadsheet, and financial is one of the main things that our students are looking at, we'll hit that sort button of this school gives me the most money and I have to pay the least amount out of pocket. So let's let's look at that first and then go down the list and see if that one fits, or they have something that they offer me that I'm willing to live with for that time period. You know what I mean? And if we make it simple, like when you have too many options, then you get stuck kind of, and then you don't know, and then, oh, I want to go here because my friend's going here, but they don't have my program, and you know, you just get all bunched up with that. But if you make it simple, like, okay, financial, you figure out that number one thing that we're looking for. Is it financial? Do I want to go away from home or stay at home? Or is it, I want to go to a big school, small school? Uh, you know, these are columns on our spreadsheet that if one of those is more important than the other, then we'll look at those schools that have those options. So that makes it a little simpler when you have the top three, when you go and click on that spreadsheet sort down, is the school big or small? So then you go to number two is financial. Is the school big or small? I want to go to a small school. So click that small school. Top three, what are the top three, and how much money am I getting from those top three, and how much money do I have to spend in those top three? And then you can simplify it that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And Mr. Taylor and I just recently had a conversation about spreadsheets, and he knows that I'm not loving spreadsheets right now. But that's a really great idea, to set up a spreadsheet so that you can analyze your data. And I think it's also really important that you look at what scholarships schools are offering you, and also what the balance left over is, because a school might offer you, oh, a $12,000 scholarship, but that still might mean it costs, you know,
$30,000 a year extra.
yeah. So just be careful with that.
And that's what we're here for. Y'all are here for. We are here for. Is to look at that, because I had a student. She was like, "What does this mean?" She's holding up her scholarship paper, and I was like, "Well, that means you get to go to school for free." And because everything was paid for, it didn't have anything out of pocket. It was all scholarships, and it was just, I was like, wow, like you did it, like, and this is the school that you wanted to go to.
Yeah.
Because she got in her FAFSA, She applied, got her FAFSA in, and then they emailed her scholarship package. So, and that's what, like, if you want to come here, sign this, and you're coming here. And she was like, I don't know how to read this. Do I have to pay anything? Like, what is it? But she didn't. So,
Yeah, and I think sometimes those letters that students get from colleges are really confusing.
mhm.
Um, so it's hard to tell exactly what they're saying. I mean, they're written in English, but I'm not sure they're written in the language that any of us understand necessarily. So that's why it's really important for students who have questions to take time to ask. All three of us have lots of experience with helping you decipher exactly what those things mean. And I'll be honest, if I look at something and I don't understand it, I am not scared to call the college and say, hey, this is what this letter says. Can you tell me what that means? You might be nervous to do that, but I would never be nervous to do that on your behalf. So, if you're starting to get offers and you're starting to see financial aid packages and it doesn't make sense to you, students don't just sit and wonder. Send an email, schedule a meeting. We're happy to help you figure out what those things mean. And if we can't figure it out, we will ask, and we'll also tell the college, hey, you need to write this in a little plainer English, because between the three of us, we've got lots of experience and we can't figure it out. So we don't expect high school seniors to be able to figure it out if we can't figure it out.
Yeah, because there's a process. So you apply. Once they get your FAFSA information, you have those three things: apply, FAFSA, and then your transcripts. So unofficial transcripts will get you admitted into the college, and after you get accepted, then they will send you out a scholarship package saying that this is what we're offering you based off of this, and that's what the scholarship initiative was. Um, and then you just start making your decision. Don't sign any paperwork until you made your decision, because you might not. There might be some repercussions from signing something and sending it back. But you know, it's good to have options, but be able to live with your decisions. That's a big thing. Like, don't regret anything, because we talked about it early. We're gonna pivot. Like, it's just a learning experience. This is a part of the process, especially if you're first generation. Um, it might not work out for you, but you have to be real with yourself and okay with who you are to move forward and say, this ain't right for me, so I need to move on. Or this is right for me, so I'm gonna stay here. And once I got to Missouri Valley, it was like, this is the program. This gives me all the options that I need. I don't like limitations. So if I'm stuck in a major that only gives me a limited amount of options, I would rather switch and be like, give me all the options. Like, I don't know exactly what I want, so that's probably another conversation as well. But
Yeah, I think
That's a different podcast.
yeah,
right. I think also when you're looking at campus, like you have to you like obviously like location and see what like the town that it's gonna be in, but also like what is important to you, because if you're you want you're used to diversity, you want diversity in your life, like you want to make sure that's like visible in your campus, um and it just it because it can impact your experience at a campus. Sometimes you might not be ready to just be in a whole new type of culture and things like that, so you want to make sure you're like doing that research too and seeing what campus can offer you, like what kind of clubs are there, things like that. It can like go a long way. Honestly.
that probably needs to be the next part of our podcast. What to look for and how to position yourself for the skills that you need going through college, because we can get stuck in, hey, I'm just going to school, getting this piece of paper, when I get done and not get anything out of it. And we just had fun the whole way. So that probably would be the next topic.
Next week's podcast already planned.
Already planned. So any last words of wisdom for our students or anybody out there listening? Ms. Ramirez?
I would just say, follow your heart, but don't hurt your pocket. That's
Dr. DeVries?
That's really good advice. I would say just take the time now to research your options. We've talked about if you have to pivot, that's fine, but go in educated. You've got the time to inform yourself, so take that time to get yourself educated, so that as you're making decisions and as you're narrowing your choices, you're choosing from some really excellent options for you, not excellent options for somebody else, but excellent options for you. And then you won't be able to make a bad decision if you've made them excellent for yourself.
Successful people don't make the right decision. They make those decisions right. So that's basically the key point is that, like, make a decision. If you have the education, we're giving you the education on what to do, what to look for, and then be okay with your decision. And once you're okay with the decision, you can learn from there. Like, to put your head down and work. All right. Thanks for another great podcast episode. Have a good one.
Ooh, it'll be a new month the next time we see them.
Yep. Yep.
Oops.
Oh, she left.